Alright guys, hope you're doing well. Please, whatever you do, do not comment down below about how bad my hair looks. I didn't put any gel in it, I didn't style it at all, and it is plastered against my forehead. Please, don't comment anything. Nothing about that. Comment about other stuff, that'd be cool. Alright, so if you guys have been staying on track with my channel for the past couple weeks, I've been on a major Spider-Man kick ever since Spider-Man Brand New Day came out, and I figured at this point it's overdue, it was gonna happen eventually. I might as well just go ahead and rank all of the Spider-Man movies that have been made. So yeah, that's what we're doing today, and I'm gonna do it in classic tier list style because I have no idea how else to do it. I don't have a better way of doing it. So with that being said, let's just transition to me and my face in the corner of the screen. Here we go. Alright, so just for clarification's sake, these are just the theatrically released Spider-Man movies, and they have to be like Spider-Man movies. So like Infinity War, even though Spider-Man was in that, I'm not counting that. And so forth. You guys get what I'm talking about. So I have all of the Tobey Maguire movies on here, the Tom Holland movies, the Andrew Garfield movies, and of course the Spider-Verse movies themselves are on here as well. So with that being said, obviously just basic tier list here, just from S to F. You guys know how that works. Starting off, we have the first ever live-action Spider-Man movie to be made, which was just simply titled Spider-Man. And this, of course, is where Tobey Maguire was brought in as Spider-Man. For better or for worse, I guess a lot of people would say. I think his version of Spider-Man definitely worked for the time, especially because people weren't really familiar with Spider-Man. Clearly, Sam Raimi just went for the dorkiest possible dude that he could find to play Peter Parker, which I think it works. It's cool to see the contrast of him as just a major nerd with him as a superhero. On the other hand, there are some things that don't really feel right. It's very campy movie. There are so many bizarre special effects in here, just bizarre directorial choices all throughout the movie. Spider-Man doesn't really 100% feel like Spider-Man. He's kind of just like a guy in a suit doing stuff. He doesn't quip, he doesn't have much of a personality. It's just, you know, someone that looks like Spider-Man doing Spider-Man-esque things. Nonetheless, though, it's still a really solid movie, and there are some portions of this movie that are like super good, A tier. For example, the final battle between Spider-Man and Green Goblin, where they're fighting in the abandoned building, and it's just like, it's absolutely visceral, some of the punches that are thrown. So with that being said, I'm gonna throw this into B tier. We'll see if it makes it to the top of B tier or if it kind of gets pushed down. But for me, that's where it sits. Spider-Man 2, on the other hand, for many people would probably go into S, and I completely understand that. It has my favorite live-action Spider-Man villain in it. I absolutely love Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. I think he's so good in this movie. Not only that, but it takes everything from the first movie and just elevates it. It really also just beats Peter Parker into the ground. So many things in his life go wrong, and you know, we like when that happens to Spider-Man. It sounds bad, but like, we want to see him beat to the ground. It humanizes him, and it gives him something to overcome just as Peter Parker. The most interesting thing about Spider-Man is him trying to balance that life of a superhero with the normal life of an individual, and this movie really hits that home. So I'm going to put Spider-Man 2 at A tier. The only reason it doesn't get to S for me is just some of those like directorial choices, the Sam Raimi stuff, the cheesiness. It works to an extent, but it doesn't really age as well as I'd like it to. And then we have Spider-Man 3, which is arguably the worst of the Tobey Maguire trilogy, but I also would argue that it maybe has some of the best and most iconic moments. I mean, this is such an entertaining movie. In terms of a good Spider-Man movie, though, there are some things I can't get past, just some character choices. Some of the effects did not age well. They relied heavily on CGI, and it just looks so rubbery all throughout this film. I also think some of the action sequences in this one aren't really that good, especially like compared to some of the stuff they did with Doc Ock in the previous movie. It doesn't feel that elevated, and of course, it has 3 villains. It feels overcrowded. We've already established that, though. It's weird that a movie like this feels overcrowded with 3 villains when a movie like Infinity War was kind of able to pull it off. Nonetheless, though, I'm going to put this in C tier. It definitely doesn't belong in D or F. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it gets hated on a lot more than it should be. But yeah, it goes in C. Then The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. It's been a while since I've rewatched this movie. I remember liking the take and liking how everything played out. There are some really dumb moments throughout the movie, though. For example, when Spider-Man's in the sewers trying to track the lizard and sets cameras up everywhere, he puts the name Peter Parker on his camera. That's how the villain finds out that it's him, because of course the villain's gonna go check the camera. The lizard checks the camera and is like, what is this? Why is it in my sewer? oh, property of Peter Parker. Like, why would you make that decision? That doesn't make any sense. Also, some awful soundtrack choices throughout, just some really cheesy stuff. You can tell that the director here, I believe it was Mark Webb, he specializes primarily in romantic comedies, and that for that reason, like a lot of the relationship stuff and the dialogue, I think works decently well. It doesn't really meld well with the Spider-Man stuff 100% though. So The Amazing Spider-Man for me, I think is also going to go in C tier and maybe even slightly below Spider-Man 3. It's a solid movie. There's some really solid moments, but it just doesn't age that well. Now, Spider-Man 2, similarly, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the second of the Andrew Garfield movies, similarly to Spider-Man 3, I think has some of the best Spider-Man moments in it. Like the opening scene, not really the opening scene, but the second opening scene after the title credits when he's falling from the sky and then he starts swinging, one of the absolute best Spider-Man swinging moments. It's so well done. Not only that, but one of the best Spider-Man suits as well in this movie. It looks absolutely amazing. The only thing that could make it look better is if the eyes moved, but we'll get to that later. Nonetheless though, also some of the worst moments in this movie. I think a lot of people would agree that this is like possibly the worst live action Spider-Man movie. It's way too long. There's so much, there's a lot of just like stupid dialogue, stupid writing choices, like bringing Harry Osborn in, the Osborn like disease and all that stuff. It's so weird. This one for me, there are some really good moments, but it's gonna have to go into D tier. Just a lot of stuff that's really unforgivable. Now, Spider-Man Homecoming, first live action Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, first time bringing him into the MCU. There's a lot here that is really, really good. And honestly, it's one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. Now, I don't think that it's a perfect Spider-Man movie, but I think that it's a perfect Spider-Man movie if the goal is to bring him into the vast MCU. It does such a great job with that. Iron Man doesn't overstay his welcome. I think Tony Stark is used really well. Roping him the Vulture and the Vulture's motivation, such a good villain. All of the high school stuff with Spider-Man. I mean, if you want a live action Spider-Man movie about really young, really just getting into it Spider-Man, this is it. They just did it perfectly. A lot of people criticize that he's more Spider-Boy, but this is his first movie in the MCU, so this one is the only one that I'm willing to 100% forgive that for. It might be a little bit controversial, but this one is going into A, and it even goes above the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie for me. I do really like Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, the same cannot be said for Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the one where he travels to Europe, I believe. The one with Mysterio, right? And right off the bat, I'll say everything with Mysterio I think was really good, but there's just some stuff in this movie I do not like. I don't think it's directed very well. The action kind of sucks. My biggest gripe with this movie, my favorite thing to see in a Spider-Man movie is just him throwing down with a villain, just hand-to-hand combat kind of stuff. And this movie, the final battle is him versus a bunch of mindless drones. It's just not very entertaining. I think a lot of the highs that happened in Homecoming just, they weren't beat out in this movie. This really is just kind of, to me, it feels almost like a straight-to-DVD sequel. It has that sort of syndrome to it to me. It's just not that enticing. There's some good stuff, but not a great Spider-Man movie. This one's going, I'm gonna put it in the middle of C tier right here. So above The Amazing Spider-Man, but below Spider-Man 3 for me. Spider-Man 3 is just so much more entertaining, so much more going on. And honestly, Spider-Man Far From Home just doesn't really age well for me. Now, Spider-Man No Way Home, a lot of people criticize this one. It's the third in the Tom Holland trilogy. A lot of people criticize this one as not being very rewatchable because it was such a theatrical experience, bringing in all of the old Spider-Man villains, all of the old Spider-Men. It's such a good movie to see in theaters for the first time, and that experience was awesome. It might have even gone into S after that first watch. And then you watch it again at home, and there are some moments that are just so awkward because they're clearly teeing up an applause and a cheer. And obviously at home, it doesn't have the same effect. So I think rewatchability really ruins this one. There's also some stuff that was definitely the product of it being filmed during COVID. That's a little bit rough. You can tell a lot of it is filmed on a soundstage in a blue screen. Most of the movie takes place in a tiny little apartment. Well, it's not a tiny apartment, but it's an apartment. In a movie, any apartment's going to feel constrained. I like to see Spider-Man out there in the city fighting crime, swinging through buildings, all that kind of stuff. we don't really get that in here. There's not much of that happening. I mean, even when I think back, like some of the major action sequences clearly were set up like in a blue screen sort of area. Like one of the best sequences in the movie is him kind of fighting Doctor Strange. All of that was CGI'd. All of that was animated. Towards the end, when they're fighting on the Statue of Liberty, there have literally been set photos that have come out. It was all a blue screen. Everything. Nonetheless, though, I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it deserves to be super low. Like, it's really solid, especially the way that it ends and the development that Peter Parker gets in this film. It's just absolutely amazing what they did with his character and the way that they set him up for future films. So this one, I think, is actually going to go maybe second in B tier. I could maybe flip these two back and forth a little bit, but for now, I'm going to leave it second in B tier. Now, because Spider-Man Brand New Day was the most recently released, I'm going to save that for last here, and we're going to move on to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. There's not much that I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. I think that it is just absolutely amazing. It's crazy that it took them this long to make an animated Spider-Man film because they hit everything perfectly. The animation style, the characters, the comedy and the way they were able to incorporate animation and comic book style to really elevate that. Everything here is so good. Just like the character of Miles Morales and the way that they're able to put him on the screen and show his development as it goes. Everything here is just so amazing, and it was such a joy to see this movie in theaters. This is the kind of movie that's gonna be a classic for years to come. I mean, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain that it did. I have no gripes with this film. There's not a single thing I would change about this movie. The only thing that's maybe a little bit rough is the antagonist. I don't think Kingpin in this movie is like super amazing, but I mean, I don't mind it because the fact that they're able to take the spotlight away from the antagonist just means that even more work is put into the protagonist and all of those characters. So yeah, this undeniably S tier for sure. And then the second Spider-Verse movie, Across the Spider-Verse, also really good in theaters. I think upon rewatch, there were some scenes here that are like really overcrowded and really overdone, to the point of it being like almost overstimulating. It's hard to tell what's going on, which makes it fun to rewatch because you can pick apart little things you might have not noticed in the theater, but it is like really overwhelming. And it's a long movie too. So like, I feel like there were some sequences that could have been stretched out in order to understand what's going on a little bit more, and yet that would have just added more runtime. So I'm really not sure what they could have done here. Nonetheless, though, this 100% is like an A tier movie. It may even move up to the S tier depending on how the third one plays out, because this is like a part one of part two. So I think that this right here would probably go, up right there, top of the A tier for me. And then of course the last one we're ranking here is Spider-Man Brand New Day. The thing I like the most about this movie, and obviously you can go watch my review, it's on my channel, but the way they did Spider-Man, I think that this is the best live action Spider-Man that we've ever had. I love the fact that he wears his mask no matter what. Like, he's very particular about hiding his identity. That's how it should be. I love the contrast and the struggle between normal Peter Parker and Spider-Man, trying to balance those aspects of himself. The only thing I'm a little iffy on with this one, and I'm not going to spoil it because it's still in theaters, but the way that the antagonist played out and a lot of those story beats, I'm still a little iffy on. I think I'll need to rewatch this one to see how I truly feel about it. But as of right now, I'm putting this probably in A tier, probably at the bottom of A tier, depending on how things go. It's like high B to low A for me. So that is my ranking here. None of them really go in F. I could maybe move Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 into F, and I'm sure no one would be mad about it. I don't think it's like the worst movie ever. It's a solid D for me. Let me know though in the comments below if your tier list looks similar, or let me know your ranking, or if you do anything differently. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Make sure to follow, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Appreciate you. See you in the next one.